The purposes of this CD-ROM are to illustrate how conformation, lameness and other gait abnormalities may modify gait, to try and indicate what features to look for which may indicate which is the lame limb or limbs, and to differentiate gait abnormalities that may be due to mechanical or neurological dysfunction rather than pain. It is important to recognise what is normal and what variations there may be due to conformation, breed, athletic ability and the stage of training. We focus on evaluation of the gait at the walk and the trot, since these are the paces at which lameness is usually best manifest. This is a 7-year-old thoroughbred gelding used for general purposes. Here we see the horse at the walk. The normal walk is a 4-beat gait, the sequence of footfalls being left hind, left front, right front, with a regular rhythm. The hind limbs follow the forelimbs, either tracking up or over-tracking. That is, the imprint of the hind limb, foot, is placed in or in front of the imprint of the ipsilateral forefoot. The slow pace of the gait allows evaluation of stride length and the degree of sinking of the fetlocks. Lameness may result in decreased sinking of the fetlock of the lame limb due to pain, or increased sinking due to loss of support from the suspensory apparatus, or, less commonly, the superficial digital flexor tendon. Assess the way in which each foot is loaded. Does each foot land squarely? Is the limb flight of each limb straight? A normal horse turns easily, with even loading of each limb, whereas a horse with foot pain in particular may favour the lame limb when turning. Each gait should be assessed from behind, in front and from the side to get an appreciation of the whole horse. It is usually necessary to develop a system for evaluation of the horse's movement, focusing first on limb flight and foot placement of the forelimbs and hind limbs. Observe breakover. Then focus on movement of the head and neck. Some horses with a naturally rather choppy forelimb gait may rock slightly from side to side with each stride. This may be most obvious in trot, resulting in movement of the head and neck every time each forelimb is loaded. Normally, however, the head and neck are relatively still. Focus on movement of the hind quarters, which should be symmetrical. However, if the horse turns its head towards the handler rather than looking straight ahead, the horse may appear lame, either in front or behind, due to uneven loading of the limbs, particularly the right front if led from the left, or the left hind. It is important that the horse moves at an even speed, neither too slow or too fast, and that the head and neck are not over-constrained by a handler. If the horse moves too slowly, the gait may become falsely irregular, and if the horse moves too quickly, lameness may be masked. The handler must allow freedom of the head and neck so that abnormal movement is not obscured. If the horse is too fresh or exuberant, subtle gait abnormalities may be masked, and it may be necessary either to work the horse and then re-evaluate it, or to mildly sedate it. The trot is a 2-time gait, the horse moving in diagonal pairs. In a normal horse there is natural animation and lift to the stride, and looseness of movement through the horse's back. Horses track straight, the hind limbs following the forelimbs. The tail is carried straight. In order to recognise loss of action due to subtle forelimb or hind limb lameness, it is essential to develop a feel for the type of gait any particular horse might have. For example, comparing the loose, animated, exuberant paces of a warm blood horse to the more rolling gait of a standardbred trotter. Lunging allows assessment of how gait is modified by being on the turn. It is useful to assess how the horse moves on both soft and firm surfaces, since the footing or ground surface may influence the lameness. Especially if the horse is fresh, it may be safer to first evaluate the horse on a soft surface where traction is not a potential problem. It may be prudent to protect the horse's limbs with boots. A period of exercise is also important to establish how lameness may be influenced by work, staying the same, improving or deteriorating. Most horses can be readily taught to be lunged, even if they have not been lunged previously. It is generally preferable to see the horse being lunged in a circle rather than being led, because the horse usually trots more naturally, especially to the right. However, this is not always possible. The diameter of the circle is important. The smaller a circle is, the more likely it is that lameness may become apparent. The horse should be assessed on both the left and the right reins, looking for any change in balance or stiffness, rhythm or limb flight. Hind limb toe drag may only be apparent in one direction. Look to see if the footing is being kicked up. Observe the horse's head and neck posture. If the horse is looking to the outside, it may be protecting the inside forelimb. If a horse has a restricted hind limb impulsion due to low-grade lameness and it is asked to work harder, it may be inclined to break to canter rather than to maintain trot. Assessment of the horse in canter may also be useful to evaluate engagement of the hind limbs. A horse with hind limb lameness may be prone to changing legs behind and becoming disunited in canter. Lunging on the hard should only be performed if a safe environment is available. Ideally, the surface should be firm and provide slight traction, as the gravel surface does here. A normal horse may shorten its stride and hurry and become unbalanced if it feels unsafe. Compare stride length and lift of the stride on the hard compared to the soft surface. A normal horse should not significantly reduce stride length. Some horses with bilateral forelimb lameness of similar degree may only show lameness on a hard surface on the lunge, so this is a crucial part of any lameness investigation. It also provides an opportunity to evaluate how each foot lands. This horse is somewhat unbalanced and is inclined to hurry, and is rather irregular in its rhythm, making it rather difficult to evaluate its gait properly. As it becomes progressively more relaxed, one will see that the gait becomes more rhythmical and any slight irregularities in gait disappear. Here we see the horse moving from the gravel surface onto tarmac, so we can appreciate any differences that result from this change in ground surface. The horse is becoming progressively more relaxed and is moving with a slower rhythm, making gait evaluation more easy. Note the way the horse is inclined to slightly look out of the circle. This can be a normal reaction, particularly as the horse tries to balance itself.